Come on with the come on, player. Go ahead.
Thank you for joining another episode of the G Spot.
It's the G Spot, baby.
Where you got to grow.
Or you got to go.
Good evening, everyone. We are here tonight and we are taking a minor detour from why women cheat, and we are going to talk about healthy versus toxic relationships, the signs to identify healthy relationships and the signs to identify if you're in a toxic relationship. So next week, we will come back to why women cheat. We need to do some more research, y'all.
Negative.
They got to do the research.
You have no idea. So just,
They was ready to come for us tonight.
yeah. No, not tonight. Marinate a little bit. Think about it. So I think Mr. H has 5 minutes of frustration, or you said no?
Yes. I always have 5 minutes.
I'm going to interrupt you like you did me last week.
Wow. Signs of a toxic.
There's no relationship, so just toxic, huh?
Toxic. Oh, here's my 5 minutes of frustration. I'm going to piggyback off of what I said last week about our brother DMX, prayers to DMX. Usually when things happen in Black America, we respond one or two ways. Either we show support or we start criticizing an individual. Unfortunately, that's just our people. Some people are insensitive to not just the individual, but what the family is going through, i.e. When Gail chose to bring up those disgusting memories about Kobe shortly after his passing. We have to stop doing that as a people and learn to be more supportive, because we're too quick to judge and we're too quick to demean and degrade. So I just want to caution everybody, as you reference the DMX situation, be cautious or be mindful that that's somebody's son, that's somebody's brother, and that's somebody's father.
Yes.
And they can hear the comments. So if nothing else, out of appreciation for the children, we just want to be respectful as we make comments in reference to the DMX situation.
All right. Anybody else frustrated about something? No other.
No other frustration?
Joey, you ain't got no frustration, bro?
Not today, man. I usually always do, but today, I don't know.
I'm frustrated that he ain't frustrated.
You know, it's something that maybe that I wanted to add from last week. Was the fact that we do things without the input of spiritual guidance. That's something that we did not cover. That spiritual aspect should some way or somehow stop you from doing those things with that guidance. In a lot of relationships that we be in, we don't have God or some kind of spiritual aspect in the relationship.
Facts.
To prevent us from going over to
Susie house.
No, it was Ugly Paula.
I don't think you caught it, but I actually I briefly touched on it. I just said I think some men cheat because they're not spiritually grounded. I did mention that, but we didn't, I didn't elaborate on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you.
You are stunning tonight, Kim.
I mean, okay, so help me understand that part. You get some people you say some people cheat because they're not spiritually grounded.
Some, not all.
Oh, he
okay.
got 5 minutes of frustration now.
I do, but I mean,
Right now that we said that some people are not spiritually.
I'm just saying, But go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let that marinate a little bit. All right.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and go into the topic for tonight, and the topic for tonight is healthy versus toxic relationships.
The sign.
The signs. So first, we need to. What is the definition of a toxic relationship?
Yeah, let's define that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
What should we
So
you
Dr.
do?
Glass,
Okay.
a California-based communication and psychological expert,
All right.
who coined the term toxic people,
Did he go through anything?
defines defines a you're gonna be like, okay, it defines a toxic relationship as any relationship between people who do not support each other, where there's conflict and one seeks to undermine the other, where there's competition, where there's disrespect and a lack of cohesiveness. That's the coined term for toxic relationships.
Okay, I'm sorry. Repeat, because I want to make this. I want to, because in these conversations we get confused as to concepts, and terms, and definitions. So you said
Disrespect,
lack of support.
lack of support,
What was the third one?
non-cohesiveness.
Okay, so is everybody clear on the definition?
No, that's Dr. Glass. I mean, the Dr. Glass.
Hold on.
He has
Wait.
2 degrees.
Wait a
He
minute.
can have
Hold on.
5 degrees.
Degrees don't
That's
mean
Dr.
Wait a
Glass
minute now.
definition.
So
Okay.
this is
Okay.
the person
Well, we gonna
that
go
actually
based off of-
coined
Yeah.
this term.
Okay.
So a toxic person or a person that's in a toxic relationship, this is the expert that actually.
So let me ask you, out of the 3 you just named, are there more
definitely more.
of adjectives that'll describe it? Okay, so I'm not going to be
definitely more.
bound to what Dr.
Definitely
Glass say.
more.
I'm not going to do
Okay.
that.
That's just a
Okay.
snippet,
Okay.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
But
let
he's
me.
on the right track.
Okay. Let me define healthy relationships.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Relationships may be defined depending on who's involved, but healthy relationships all depend on a few key elements. That's healthy communication, healthy boundaries, mutual respect, and support for one another.
Okay.
There's also
That's healthy.
here's the word that I love to use, which is healthy relationships are best described as interdependent. Y'all remember that word?
Okay.
Interdependence means that you rely on each other for mutual support, but you still remain in your own identity as a unique individual. In other words, your relationship is balanced. You know you have their approval and love, but your self-esteem doesn't depend on them. And I love those two explanations of
Yeah,
healthy
send me that.
relationships.
Text me that when you get it. I like that.
Okay.
Now,
I mean, it's some more attributes, but I'm just saying I like those attributes. I like that.
Yeah.
That interdependent.
Breakthrough.
I like those.
So I guess we can talk about healthy relationships first, because it's probably going to be pretty
bunch of-
short-lived.
Yeah, a bunch of toxic
Short one. Definitely gonna be short.
Mic check.
Very short.
So some of the key,
I could have done.
actually, there's a 3 C's that we can say for healthy relationships, and that would be communication, compromise, and commitment.
I agree.
okay.
So
Repeat those 3 C's.
the 3 C's would be communication, compromise, and commitment. So I think that, those are the three C's that we should look for.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that, and I want to just well, when it's my turn, I'll get into that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just, it's
No, I love
you
it.
can
I
jump
love
on
it.
there. So if we want to just go ahead and, just kind of talk about some key things that should be present in healthy relationships. So I would definitely say the 3 C's. Of course, we need to have not just communication, but effective communication and transparent communication, because some people will talk, but they're lying.
Right.
They're not having high levels of transparency,
Right.
meaning that they're telling, you some, but not all.
Right.
And I think when we're thinking about life partners and people that we're going to spend the rest of our lives with, I don't think that it's anything that we should be holding back.
Okay.
Because I've always felt like I need to really know you in order to actually love you. Because if I don't really know you, that means that I'm loving an idea
Right.
of you or whoever you're presenting. I was married before, and at the end of that marriage, I realized like the person I'm in love with doesn't even damn exist because you've told so many lies. You got this whole made up life. So the person the person you are, I never had the opportunity to love because that person was never presented. You know, so I think communication has to be, you know, we don't just need to talk. We need to have effective communication. We need to be honest, open, transparent, you know, all those things. So I think respect, we definitely have to have respect. And I think that we have to have some healthy boundaries. I think that we need to set some things in at the beginning. Like, this is how we're going to deal with issues. This is how we're going to deal with how we resolve things. This is how we're going to deal with conflict.
Like, you need to be on one accord. It needs to be mutual. Like, you need to have that mutual understanding. So you
Right.
have mutual respect.
Right. And we need to talk about this early on, because before we start to have issues, because I was dating this guy one time, and you know, we have a disagreement, and if we were in public, like, he would get loud. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We no.
Right, that's not
We yeah, well, I'm not doing this. We not doing this yelling and stuff in public. Like, I don't know what kind of hood rats you used to dealing with, but I'm not that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because usually when, because I've had that happen before as well.
I'm sure.
Hood rats, huh?
But I want to, because usually, especially when it's a sensitive or emotional topic, usually when that happens, it's usually because two people are trying to talk at the same time, right? And so if I want to be heard and you interject and now you're talking with me, the only way I can be heard is to talk louder than you. And so I just want to caution people. That's usually how that happens.
No, it didn't.
Listen, that's usually how that happens. Is
Y'all giving
someone will
away
start
hints?
talking, and then someone will interject and try to talk over them, because, like we said, we could sing together, but we can't talk together. So
Yeah.
I just want, as we talk about the 3 C's communication, one of the ways that you could have healthy communication is if somebody's talking, don't try to talk over them.
Okay.
And that'll help prevent them from yelling in public.
Okay,
Well,
so
they say
back to
listen.
what I was saying. This person was just belligerent and yelling in public because that's how they were used to. So I wasn't speaking. They just felt like, I'm upset, so I need to elevate my voice. And so you have, I mean, first of all, you just got to know that you're in a relationship with someone that has the same value system as you, and you know, they're you know, kind of in the same class as you, for lack of better words.
But see,
I will say
that goes back to how you raise, because in order to listen, to comprehend is what they say, not listen to reply.
right.
So that goes all the way back to how you was raised as a child.
Absolutely.
I mean, child development.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not gonna drag childhood development into respect for the other person that's speaking.
I would say the center, even if you were not raised like that,
Right.
there comes a time where life experiences and you have encountered different situations and different
Right.
relationships and different friendships where you've come to realize, okay, this is how I should present myself. Or this is
Exactly.
how I should handle a situation.
Indubitably.
Yeah.
And then I've learned over the years that if you just listen, you can learn a lot about a person.
True.
By listening. And see, that's the problem with a lot of us. We say we're listening, but in reality, you're not. And somebody could be telling you something and you didn't miss it because you wasn't listening. Could be something to save you from going down a toxic relationship,
Like
but
the-
because you wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, get to it.
Yeah, and because you wasn't listening, you missed it.
Right.
Like the commercial, you can learn a lot from a dummy.
But the crash,
I got something for you. You said something the other day. I've been wanting to kind of capitalize on it. You said what you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. I want to say that for the longest.
Cascade Guard or something.
I've been wanting to throw that out there for the longest, though, because you said it twice and I kept missing it. I've been wanting to say that for the longest. All right, go ahead.
But she says communication.
Go
So
ahead.
what is another point besides
So-
The other way. Okay.
Another thing with this is a big one, y'all, because it is way too many people in quote unquote healthy relationships that don't have this element, and I'm just here to be the bearer of bad news. If your relationship don't have trust,
Oh my
y'all ain't got
Lord,
nothing.
really don't. That's
Like, yes,
Who could possibly think that their relationship is healthy without trust?
I mean
Crazy.
yeah.
It's foolish.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they believe that they have a healthy relationship because they know it's not trust. Because when you don't trust somebody, there's nothing healthy about that.
Nothing.
Well, we have a lot of people that are in unhealthy relationships that they have not identified them as
That
being
is,
unhealthy. So that's the reason we having this conversation.
That's
Because
right.
people are looking
Trust you to go
for
outside, that's a problem.
right, but people are we get constant inboxes. We got a poll question too that we have to go around the table and answer. But people are constantly, inboxing us, asking us for resolutions for issues. And in all honesty, the resolution to your issue is you need a new relationship.
Bingo.
You know,
Better call it.
yes, sir.
Call it.
Okay. Also, because I can't tend to sway to the left on these types of situations. Yes, you may need a new relationship, but I always like to go towards prevention, and I put out there that during the mate selection process, a lot of people need a third party to assist with them. Now, I know what
agree.
the answer gonna be. No, now all of a sudden, nobody got friends, nobody got family members, because that's gonna be the
So make me
response.
understand.
Hold on, I want to explain
Okay,
the process.
okay. Let me hear that.
But if nothing else, because a large number of sisters go to church. So if for no other reason, you might want to get in a church, because if you're seriously considering a man to bring into your life, like you said, that you're considering to spend the rest of your life with, you need another qualified man to help you evaluate this man. Because let me just say this, the average woman isn't qualified to do so. I know y'all strong black women and everything, because if so, we wouldn't have so many women with the complaint that the man that they have is no longer good enough for them. The problem is you chose the wrong man, just like men choose the wrong women. Because let me tell you this, women will always be a better expert on women, and men will always be a better expert on men. Point blank, period.
Well, you know what? I kind of disagree a little bit.
I 100% disagree. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you go
let's-
first.
And the reason I disagree is because if you've been around the block a few times, I think you kind of can, if your girlfriend calls you up and she asks you, like we've been getting these, questions through inbox about what should they do. I think you kind of you can consider yourself qualified enough.
We'll see what he's saying
Yeah,
is he's trying to prevent women from going around the block. So
Okay.
the preventive measure is getting somebody to evaluate who you're dating on the front end, so we don't have these horror stories
I get it. but-
and gain this
But I get the
experience from
prevention.
trauma.
I get it.
Right.
But
You know,
we're talking about, okay, now that's good for the younger generation.
Correct.
But for people in our age group that's already been around the block, like you can't
You got
prevent
some
that.
young people that been around
See,
the block.
I disagree with that. I disagree that you can't prevent that, because a
They
man,
already been around the block.
No, well, you
because
can't
men-
prevent that. That's what she's saying.
No, you've already, but you don't have to go around another block.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How many blocks you want?
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
About 4 blocks.
So trust is
But trust is something very fragile.
Oh my.
But as we was talking before, can trust be rebuilt?
I
in those
believe that it can. It takes a lot of
Because we
work.
should be inside it. We should be if our topic is to rebuild relationships, that also needs to be inside of that particular topic too. Can you rebuild relationships? Can you rebuild trust?
Absolutely.
Now, there's
can.
nobody that's at this table or anybody in real world life that hasn't told a lie. Everybody has told a lie. It's just depending on the severity of the lie. And then once we get to the topic of lies and what's the last
Sex
two? Lies and cheating.
Yeah.
Well, sex is the last two. We'll cover that.
Yes.
But there's nobody that's you have to be able to work on your relationship.
Right.
You don't just
I agree.
give up on your relationship, especially if you have kids involved, because it all goes back to, again, like I told you before, if you got all these different type of people coming into your kid's life, this is actually impacting your kids. So
Well, if it's toxic, I don't care.
Yeah.
we ain't on toxic yet.
Yeah.
We ain't on
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We ain't on toxic yet. We
but
still
I
on
mean,
health.
just because
Okay.
I hate when people say about the kids.
Yeah.
Because that brings
that's
me
not-
back to
honestly,
a lot of people are still in these
Relationships,
dead-end
yeah.
relationships because of kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we don't want to get too far.
We
off.
don't have
Okay, we're gonna go on toxic
I
when we get on
okay,
toxic.
Can I say
But-
something before we
yes,
move on
absolutely.
to toxic? Can I
No,
say
we're on
something?
healthy.
No,
Yeah,
we still on
before we
healthy.
move on to toxic,
Yeah.
can I say something? I want to basically. You want to go ahead and say it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about what he said.
Okay, go
That's
ahead,
where I
man.
was at. Like, I don't think you need a third person to evaluate a relationship that you want to be in, because when you do that, you under the assumption that this person knows exactly what you want and what it's going to take for you to get there. And you have to take in consideration that every 5 to 10 years, those things change.
No,
Those
I don't.
things-
That's no.
Hold on, Brett. That's your opinion. This is my opinion. But
But
it's
you're
my opinion.
misunderstanding what he's saying.
I understand what he said. What you said, you need a
Not
third
based off
person
what you
to do
said.
what?
Help you evaluate the person. not
Okay,
Not the
so you gonna.
relationship.
So what I'm saying to you is, how can a third person evaluate a person that's best for you? First, you gotta be under the assumption that that person
misunderstand
know
it.
what's best for you.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Help me
Okay, so
understand.
let me clarify. The purpose isn't so they can say necessarily if that person is best for you, because when
But that's what you said.
No.
Okay, but
no,
keep
no,
going.
no.
Keep going.
When a real man talks to another man, he knows how to
He know if he
certain
pull up it.
certain dialogues to pull out the BS in you. A real man. Now I'm gonna say this: the people who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about never had that experience. It's
Come
easy
on
to
now.
tell because real men identify other real men. It's real easy. This ain't rocket science. I know when I'm around certain brothers because their conversations sound a certain way. It's just certain things real men don't entertain. Facts. It's certain things men with integrity don't entertain. Facts. It's just certain way real men carry themselves. And people who are confused about this don't have a strong circle of real men.
Okay.
Very easy to see.
So now I
And
understand.
let me just say this,
Okay.
women, if you present this to a man who ain't got nothing to hide, don't mind talking to another real man.
That's
a man
true.
who's apprehensive about that, he got something to hide. Because
That's
I ain't got
true.
no problem standing in front of nobody talking about anything.
That's
Okay.
Bring it. That's me.
Now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Still disagree.
Of course.
So now what
And
I'm
that's-
saying to
that's
you,
telling. I'm
but
just being honest with you.
that's telling based on the path you're walking.
Okay.
Your path is not my path.
All right.
So since we identified, nothing is telling, it's just identifying your path. Again, I do not need another adult to identify nothing that's best for the relationship that I'm about to encounter.
You're still
I ain't listen.
misunderstanding.
I'm not misunderstanding. I'm just giving my
I'm
opinion
back
based
to
on what he
the
said.
Wait.
I don't
Question.
misunderstand nothing y'all say.
Wait.
So let's stop saying I misunderstand.
Listen.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I got it. What I'm saying to you is I do not need another man to come in or another woman to evaluate what's best for the future or the path that I want to walk.
Just ask you one question.
You're gonna get to that point, and I want to hear that question. So what
That's not what I'm saying.
what I'm saying to you is, I've spoken to what you call real men.
Okay.
I've spoken to people who I thought was real men, but I've walked a different path from you. So I've seen real men in elements that folded them. So when we talk about defining real men, we see these so-called real men differently.
Well, I'm not talking about.
We're not talking about
You can call it what you want because you identified that as a real man.
Let's get back on.
But I'm on the track. No, we on the track.
Okay.
But we never leaving the track.
Get my
The tra-
part.
I was just asking you a question. So remember you told the story about all those women you had been dragging that you had options for. If contingent upon them taking the advice of the real man that offered them guidance, do you think you would have been able to do that to them if somebody had conversations with you first?
Yes.
No.
That's your opinion.
No.
You keep saying no like you can't ask me a question and have the answer, bro.
Listen. Let me ask you a question.
Because the real man would have
Why do
called
you
you out
think-
and
He
warned.
wouldn't call me out
Give me-
nothing because
give me
wait. He couldn't have called me out on what I was. When I'm determined to do something, a man can't get in my way.
Listen, are you listening? See,
I'm done. I'm
okay.
done.
Okay.
Why do you think
He
you
just
go
proved
meet
my
your,
point.
your significant other father?
He probably deal with women that don't have their fathers in their lives.
And y'all still wrong again. I met the father, I met the mother, I met the grandmother, and they love me to death. And we were fine. But again, I understand that every 5 to 10 years, shit changes, and I'm adjusting to that
I'm with
change.
you on that.
So I'm not gonna be stuck in the box because I told her daddy, well, man, fuck
No,
her daddy,
no.
man.
You-
I ain't worried about a goddamn daddy. I'm worried about what's gonna be
Still.
best for her and I.
Would you let him date your daughter?
Well, that's your
Listen.
choice, man. That's your daughter.
Would you let him date your daughter?
I know this thing with my daughter.
Can we move on? I just wanna
You
get
might as well go ahead and
yeah.
move on because
Okay.
that validation point,
Okay.
you know,
No answer.
All right. Well, I just want to touch on two
Amen.
points of a healthy relationship that I think people need to know. One of them is you need to be able to be yourself with your partner, and I think that's very important. A lot of people are pretenders. You know, if I don't like something, I'm gonna tell you I don't like it. I need you to know my likes, my dislikes. I need to be able to be myself. I don't want you saying, you know, like I talked about this a few shows back about men wanting their women to go and get their bodies done. You know, they want to change the way they look for their personal reasons. I need you to be okay with how I look, you know, what I like. And I need us to be able to come together. So I definitely want to be myself, especially if I'm looking to go down, you know, the long haul with my partner. And you have a lot of relationships out here that people are not being themselves.
Yeah. So some other elements is individuality, being able to maintain
yeah.
who you are and the other person's able to maintain who they are. I think that's very, very important.
It's very important because a lot of people aren't able to do that. Like what happens is like the other individual would get probably like, you know, want your life to be their life. Like basically you I know that these are you got to understand like you're two different individuals trying to come together. So you can't stop me from being with my friends if that's you know because I had a life before you and you know I can't stop you from being with your friends because that happens a lot of times. So have like you said, having your own identity basically is very healthy in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's the face about, Mr. H? Tell the people.
Okay, I agree. You still should be able to have your friends, hang out with your friends, kick it with your friends.
I think it's deeper than that though.
It's
I know I'm about to go there.
Okay.
well I didn't
But a lot of people. Oh, wait, go ahead, finish. I want to get that. I just want to ask a question, just for clarification. Go ahead.
Well, as far the reason why I said that is because when it comes to like your own things that you let's say, well, I'm gonna speak from my experience, things that I did before. If it's not to harm the relationship, you shouldn't try to stop me from doing. Let's say, for instance, if I used to be over a choir, you know, at my church. Like you can't stop me from doing that. I did that before you. Like that's something that's not going to harm our relationship or any hobbies in particular that I may like to do.
Well, let's clarify that because some people do have some hobbies that's not good for a relationship. And even, you know, sometimes the church could not be good for your relationship. If you're spending too much time doing anything, and your spouse is feeling neglected or feeling as though they're not getting what they need from you, then that could be a problem.
Yeah, if it's too much time.
And
Yeah,
that's,
I think-
that's what my question was going to be, especially with the friends, because some people try to live single in a
No.
relationship.
No,
Okay, so
Yeah.
not like
Right,
that. What I'm
but
saying is
here's
like
my
you need
question.
some
Here's my
kind of
question.
time, like
Here-
some like how guys need their guy time. Like I would say maybe one day out the week or whatever the case may be. I can't prevent you from never having your one-on-one boy
right,
time.
because that's controlling. That's different. That's different. But we have some
We're
people.
gonna get to that.
Yeah, some people because they kick it with the girls or the
Yeah.
brothers, they kick it with the homies, while neglecting the needs of
Right.
their significant other.
Right.
And my thing is, if that person, if they're being reasonable, right, if they're telling you, then a lot of people say what you said. Well, this is what I was doing when you met me.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's
your
when you
single
were
life.
single.
Right.
And
Yeah.
some people don't make that transition. They
Right.
still
Yeah.
try to live
The same
single
No,
in a relationship.
let me correct
Okay,
that.
okay,
That's
okay.
not
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, of course, I know that I can't live the same life that I used to live when I was single. But you can't try to strip me away from every
Of course.
one of my
Of course.
family, friends.
Yeah, that's
You know,
control.
like
Yeah, that's-
you
Yeah, that's
can't
we.
do-
Yeah, we.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I can't do that to you as well.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think you can have a healthy relationship? This is a question for everyone. I'm just out of curiosity. I know how I feel about it, but I just want to get your take on it. Do you guys think you can have a healthy relationship if you're in a relationship with someone that you really don't have a lot in common?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a hard no.
I'm gonna say that's a hard pass.
Okay.
Nah,
Okay,
that
guys.
relationship.
Whatever you and that person deem is healthy, forget all that psychological stuff. If you and that person, our goals are in line with one another, because if everybody went into the same box, the world ain't gonna be what it is. So if you and that person say, hey, this is what we want to accomplish, even though we can't watch TV together, but we can go out together, even though we can't cook together, but we go out to eat together, as long as you and that person smile when y'all look in the mirror, that's all that matters.
I'm gonna go get me a homeless man off the corner tonight.
I'm just saying.
That's all I got to do is take him
Kimberly?
out to eat. So the next thing would be anger control. Having control of your anger, and like we've said earlier, is learning how to deal with adverse situations. I think that that is very, very, and it brings me to the next point. And this is a big one that I don't think a lot of people have accomplished, is fighting fair. Does everyone know what fighting fair is?
Some people
Now
just
explain
love
that.
to
Explain that.
Hold on.
With
I just
words.
want to. I don't want to rush past anger real quick.
Well, I mean, it's kind of together. But
Okay, go ahead. No, but it's for a reason, because people think anger is always demonstrative,
Mm-hmm.
and anger is not always demonstrative. Sometimes,
No.
big
no,
word.
don't do that.
You got
Well, I'm gonna use one big.
So don't do that, don't do
bigger
that.
one too.
No, it never.
Don't say that, Nitra. Don't say that.
I'm
Nitra.
gonna give you a bigger
Please
word
don't
too.
say that,
People
Nitra.
get
About
angry
anger.
and expression of anger. So I just want to
Right.
clarify
Right.
that.
Okay.
People think anger, they get this.
Now,
picture
let
of
me give you a big
extreme
word.
Hostility.
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna give you a big word. Anger could be used to galvanize or destroy a relationship. Understand? You can create positive things.
Can you elaborate what on galvanize is?
Right,
Because
y'all
some of
better
the
bring out a
people
dictionary.
may
Solidify.
not.
Come on, man. Galvanize.
I
Solidify.
didn't know that.
You're gonna be stronger. Steel gets stronger as it strikes steel.
Okay.
So an example of fighting fair.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can't
And
make this stuff up for real.
An example of fighting fair would be if we are having an issue, we're upset with each other, and instead of me saying, "Well, I address it." So most of the time,
That's what it counts.
we point the finger at each other instead of pointing the finger at the issue. And so that is one of the elements of fighting fair, making sure that we stay in line with what the issue is and not about each other.
And see, I was thinking fighting fair is hit, because sometimes when you have arguments, this is
Somebody hit him below the belt.
Yeah,
Well, that too.
yeah,
All
that's
that.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
because
That's true.
no, but I'm gonna tell you something.
That's toxic.
And that's
We don't
toxic.
talk about that next.
I'm gonna leave
Yeah.
that alone.
Wait, before
Yeah.
you touch on that,
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Because
That's toxic.
my psychology teacher did tell me that when you are having a
All these psych
debate,
students.
that it was actually in college.
Yeah.
Psych
But he
101.
actually-
I'm with a big word.
No, I'm not. I'm not. No. He actually told me when you're having a disagreement, or you're communicating, you don't want to use the word you, which is true
yeah.
because that person feels blamed. Like now they're going to be in defense
Mode, right.
So like she said, take the you out and just say it,
Right. Right.
So then
Right.
I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that. But
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, and also in fighting fair, you can't throw a person's past mistakes in their
Yes.
That's
You're
the
Yes,
main
that's a
one.
big one.
That's
That's a
usually
big one.
the
That's a big one.
utilized tactic
Yeah.
in unfair fighting.
Yeah.
And things that they've shared with you
From the
and during a vulnerable time, confiding you.
And they throw it back in.
Ladies,
My
that's the
God.
We are
worst
sliding
thing
in
you
the
can
top.
do to
I
a
hear a lot of
man.
men
Come on
saying
now.
that happen.
Yeah.
Let's
But
go
that's
to the
that's
top.
toxic. But
I
yeah,
hate
sometimes.
toxic.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a brief second. Listen. You can't be just talking that talk, right? And no, you just walk that dirty walk, but you keep talking that talk like that talk don't apply to you. Like motherfucker, last week you were just doing that. Now
let's
you coming
clean up
this
the
week.
language.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so. I was a person that don't curse. I'm so sorry. Now, what I'm saying is, you can't talk that talk, right? And you just walk that walk. So it's okay the first time you mention it, and you know you've grown from it last week. Okay, great. And then you badger me over the head with it. But you just did it last week. Like last week. So sometimes we gotta, the person that don't want to be offended with the past, we gotta like think a little bit before we get into our what you call that? What we were just talking about?
Well, it's not even that. It's if you want
Fighting fair.
a healthy relationship, regardless of
that's what I'm saying.
But regardless of if the person did it last week and now they're trying to tell you not to do it this week, a part of fighting fair and the elements of a healthy relationship is not to remind them that, hey, you know you did this last week too.
That's great.
So-
but in
so-
the other part is like, don't be so verbally abusive about me doing it this week.
Right.
Because I have to learn the way that you learn.
Right. But your accountability and responsibility in that's their accountability and responsibility. Your accountability and responsibility is not to remind them that they were there last week.
Right. So when you
So,
say you did that too.
wait, I'm just
Because
saying,
then next week-
both people hold up that responsibility, right?
Correct.
Okay, now
you have a responsibility to not take them back, and they have a responsibility to allow you to get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I was heading.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
There
healthy.
you go. There you go. Right there. Right
And
That's
I
healthy.
agree, but I have a question because in some scenarios you have a person, they'll do just that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll commit the same act. You can't do it,
Hello.
But I could do
but
it.
I
I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is necessary at times to say, okay, is this a relationship principle? Or is this a one-sided scenario where you get to take advantage and manipulate me? I think there is a time where it's justified to ask that question when the
If you're
behavior
asking a
is
question-
repetitive.
Yeah, if you're asking a question, or you're trying to clarify something, then that's healthy communication. But if it's just for the point of, well, how you gonna tell me you just did it last week? That's different.
In a heated
That's something
exchange,
different.
and I understand that because in a heated exchange, it may come out like that in a moment of frustration,
But see,
but that doesn't
why.
omit the validity of the question.
So we need to go back through the bullet points of healthy relationships.
So I think
because
I think
that's
at that
what
point
we're
of
supposed
time, because you do want to get it out. You do want to say like, wait a minute, you
What
telling
we
me,
doing?
and it's.
What we
But
doing?
I think the healthiest way to do that would be to wait. You don't want to do it right in there because it's gonna seem as though you're doing the.
I
thing
agree.
of- you know what I mean?
The
So
tit for
wait
tat.
and do it at a later time.
But it
can
has to be, like he said, acknowledged at some point.
It does.
It
has to be acknowledged
You
at
can
some
even
point.
do it the next day or later on at night when things have calmed down. You guys have resolved your issues, but don't just do it at that moment, because what I'm going to tell you is sometimes when you do that, the other person is not going to receive it, because right now they're
Right.
they're trying to express how they're feeling at that moment, and you coming with how you feeling at that moment. So it's just gonna go left.
And
So
that,
just
that
wait.
brings me to the point
Go
that
ahead.
I've learned the hard way, and this is why I practice this now in my current relationship.
Yeah.
Is that if I'm pissed, it's best that we really
understand.
don't have. It's best for me to go in my corner
Kinda calm
because
down.
you don't want to say something that you can't take back. And I learned that the hard way. 'Cause
Okay, now how do you go in your corner? Because going in your corner, no, I'm serious.
No,
because
that's-
that could be an element to what he said, to what we've said on previous shows, is people go into the silence,
Right.
and silence could be abusive. So
Well, stuttering. But
Butt
anyway,
dancing.
no, literally what I mean is that
no, I know what you
I'm
mean,
still
but
gonna-
how do you do that? What's your process for
my
that?
process for that is I'm not gonna argue at that moment while we're upset.
What's your conversation to
I'm gonna say,
Kibo?
babe, you know what? Let's just forget about it. Let's just forget about it and let's just move on. You know, especially if we're on our way out the door. Let's just go to the movies. I'm just talking
Right.
Let's just go to the movie. Let's just go to dinner. Let's have a good time and let's just forget about it. But in all honesty, I'm not forgetting about it. I'm just waiting to a better time. And then I'm going to come back and say, hey, babe, you know what? I know I said let's forget about it. But I just wanted to reiterate on what we had, the conversation we had.
Okay, so that's what make it unhealthy right there.
But listen, though.
No,
I'm telling you, it worked. Let me tell you. Yeah, baby, I just want to reiterate. Let me tell you, I just want to reiterate.
Don't you say that
No. I just want
Don't say that word.
I'm not gonna say it. Listen,
See, it sounds
I
like
just
a
wanna
directive.
No. Listen,
Sound like we gonna sit down right now.
I just want to tell you guys. So I tell him, you know what, babe? You know I said let's forget about it, but I didn't like what you said, and it made me feel X, Y, and Z.
So could a healthy, more effective way be when you say, you know what, I think we need to take a breather and take a minute and talk about this later, instead of telling him to forget and
Well,
then
you can
come
say
back.
that. Yeah, you can say that.
Because if you tell me forget it, it's over with. When you come back again, I'm gonna say no, it's over with.
Yeah, but the thing is, here's the thing. I don't want to just cut it off like that. I mean, I kind of want to. Basically, what I want to do is just
Say we'll revisit this later.
yeah. And
Well, that's what I'm
You
saying.
sound like a
Say
boss. Okay, so now you sounding like a boss. we'll talk about this later.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is what she's saying is forget about it. But then later on, she comes back and say, "Well, I know I said forget about it, but I do want to talk about it. Well, I need for you to say that let's forget about it.
Really?
I don't. You know what I'm saying?
And
I think that would just be a
probably would
healthier.
be more healthier to say, you know what, babe, let's just give it a minute. Let's go ahead and have
Go out
and
yeah.
we'll revisit this
Right.
another time. when
Right.
We're both,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
In a better
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, I think-
That would definitely be. I ain't gonna say
Yeah.
probably. That's definitely
Absolutely.
a better way of handling
Yeah.
the situation.
Because you don't want him to feel like you're dismissing him and like, well, you saying forget about it, but it's still something I want to talk about.
Right,
So,
right.
I'm going to come, we going to come back to
That is
this, but I
definitely-
just think that it's not going to be effective if we have this conversation right
That's
now.
definitely a better
Yeah.
way.
But that's
Because
what you meant.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant,
what you
and
meant.
I
Yeah.
probably
It just didn't
start
come out like
practicing
that.
that
Right.
as well,
Right.
Because
Right.
you definitely don't want to talk about it right then and there.
Yes.
Because you mess around and say things that you can't take back, and see that's where a lot of people mess up at when you say things you can't take back. Because
Right.
let me tell you something about words. People, when we were kids, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you.
Them right.
Words
Yeah.
hurt, and let me tell you another thing. Words hurt harder. I'm not gonna say harder, but
Last long.
It lasts
versus
longer.
it lasts
Yeah.
longer
Right.
versus somebody putting their hands on you because you're replaying these words
Right.
in your head
Right.
over and
I agree.
over.
So I got two
agree with
questions. I got two questions
go
for you.
ahead, sorry.
So the first question, I'm being funny. So you ready me to punch you in the face and hit you with
No,
the words? No,
not
I'm just playing. I'm just
saying
playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Me
I'm just
personally, I
playing.
do.
I'm just playing, bro. I'm just
I'm
playing.
not
That
saying-
was a joke.
I'd rather nothing.
That was a joke. But the next question is, the next question
I'd
is,
rather nothing.
but this is the next question. If you at that point say, hey, I think it's better that we revisit this later, and he disagrees, like how do you handle that?
Right.
Then-
That's what I told him.
Well, then if he disagrees, then I'll say, okay, babe, let's talk. But at this point, I'm going to bring my tension down because at this point, I know for myself, I don't want to say nothing that I can't
Take
bring.
back.
So
Right.
you go into your feminine frame. That's what you're saying.
No, I basically
You in
just
this
bring my
feminine
tension
frame.
down. I
Because
bring
I'm trying to
whatever
understand that.
anger down enough where we're able to communicate and listen and not be talking over each other. Because that's the one thing I don't want in my relationship. And me and my love, we've had disagreements, but it's a way we handle them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
y'all two are on the same page when it comes to like letting it cool down
Right.
and then rehashing it back
Right.
at a later time.
Mhm.
But for the ones, like you said, for the ones that are not on the same page, that's why those questions should appear in the beginning before you even get with the person of how would you resolve when it comes down to like for example we got into an argument, how would you handle that? You have to ask those questions and see how people
And
would
and
would
make
handle it.
make make an agreement because a part of commitment is not just being committed to the relationship. A part of commitment is being committed to the things that we put in place in the beginning of the. So if we agree that we're going to handle adverse situations this way, then that's a part of your commitment to honor that.
And we did. And just for the record, we did do that. We did a lot. We did a lot of
That's usually where most
communications in
people
the
fall
beginning.
short. That's
Yeah.
usually
Okay.
where most people fall short.
Okay, and I agree with y'all say, but listen, you do know, and I don't want to hear that narcissistic stuff or that
But
psychopathic
this
stuff.
is a healthy relationship.
This is healthy. No, what I'm saying is, and this is what I try to get people to understand. You have to, like, you do know that men know what to say. So if you ask that question on the front end, it's not until you walk that walk that you realize how they truly respond. Like some women know what to say.
But at
Well,
that
this
point,
is we're
then
talking
you're
about
gonna
healthy.
see.
We talking,
Right.
yeah. You
At
will
that
be-
point.
You
At
we-
that point.
Or narcissist.
It's not necessarily a liar or a narcissist. He probably just couldn't handle the pressure. We don't understand a lot of it. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying we have to be conscious. Even though you asked the question, that's like when you talk about the real man. I don't see none of that. But
No,
I'm
we
just saying,
didn't just ask the
It's
question.
obvious
We
you don't
made
know.
No, she
an
suggested.
agreement.
No, she
That
said
this is what we're gonna do.
Right, but we made
you
an
can make the
agreement.
agreement. And what I'm saying on the front end, when somebody
You can
wants
make the
you,
agreement, or the person can tell you how they would handle it, and they may go back on it. I mean, but
That's
nine
all I'm
times out of
saying.
10, if
But
you're
go back
really
on it, that's the
if
problem
you're
for
come
me.
on, that means you're
not go back on it to be toxic. Go back on it mean they got into a situation they probably never been faced with, and this is how they responded. That's why I'm just saying be open to that. I'm not saying that's a great
I'm
idea.
not being open to that.
They lie.
No, not be open to that. Be open to the fact that just because they agreed to the arrangement, that it ain't gonna always work that way. Be
No,
open to that.
I'm not being.
No,
open to
not
that.
be
I'm
open to it.
out.
Mean accept it.
we can't.
Y'all not understand. Now y'all not understand.
like be aware
No,
that
you
it's
can't
gonna
be
come, that
understanding.
it may happen.
It's a possibility, and then when you get there, you deal with it. That's
then-
all I'm saying.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying be open to it to
Remember how we
accept
said
it,
we were going to resolve
but I'm
it?
not saying
doing
be
That's too
open
much.
to it.
Yes,
I'm
for
not
some-
doing
But
that.
I'm gonna deal with it. When it happens, I'm gonna deal with it. You know what I'm gonna say to you guys?
Bye.
I'm gonna say that's not what we agreed to.
Which is that, and that's that's what I'm saying. Being open.
Like she said, you got to bring.
That's
it
the
back.
part that I'm
I
saying.
ain't bringing it back.
I'm gonna bring it back and tell you.
Listen, no,
That's not what
I'm
you
not saying
agreed
being open to accept it. Understand the
Right.
words
Yeah.
coming out of my mouth.
But
I'm saying that just because he agreed, oh, I found the
Right,
one.
right.
No, man, you still lost in the sauce.
But I'ma tell
until
you-
you walk that walk.
But I'm gonna tell you that's not what we agreed on, and
And
that's
that's
a big
great.
problem.
That's
for me.
great. And guess what? He's gonna have to identify with that.
Exactly.
Because he know what he said.
Right.
And that's holding a person accountable. So I'm in
Right.
total
That's-
agreement with
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, you know, the real man talk to you, identify me, he can't identify. Nothing I don't want him to identify. I'm just telling you.
Okay, so toxic relationship.
Yeah.
We got you meant 13 minutes. to talk
Here's
about.
Understand.
here's a
Listen.
warning sign, lady.
Understand these relationships can be familiar. They could be your family members. They could be your friends. Toxic relationships.
Oh, okay.
One more thing with healthy relationships, that the person should be supportive.
Right.
The person should support you, and you should
right.
support them.
Correct.
That's
I agree with
one
that.
thing with
Totally
healthy
agree.
relationships.
So-
I'm sorry, guys.
Well, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thin dog.
Okay, you can be friendly,
But
your friends.
I'm confused.
It could be your family. It could be professional relationships can be toxic.
I agree. So let's talk about some of the signs.
Of toxicity.
Well, one, I can start.
Of toxicity.
Lack of support. I'm going to just name
Lack of
some.
support.
For time's sake. I'm going to just name this list that I have. Lack of support, toxic communication, that's disrespect, yelling, unable to uphold the agreement of how we're going to handle conflict, that type of thing. Jealousy, controlling behaviors, resentment, dishonesty, patterns of disrespect,
Yeah.
and negative financial behaviors.
That's true.
So those are some things that
Manipulative.
being manipulative. If you see some signs of narcissism, run for the hills,
Calling names.
because that relationship is going
What's
to be
what's
toxic.
negative financial
Let me say
situation?
this.
Can you elaborate on
I
that?
want to
one?
revisit this.
spending
I want to revisit this just real quick, especially women, because you guys tend to behave based more on emotions.
Yes, we do.
Right. And those emotions, I think it was a show or two where he said, well, how does a woman stay in a relationship, a bad one, for 10 years? Because sometimes they identify, because the longer you're in it, the harder it is to leave. And that's why I say some people need support early on, because the length of time matters.
It definitely does.
With any negative situation, disease, sickness, whatever, the length of time you are in that situation matters. It gets worse.
Yes.
And so again, I just want to say, ladies, if your man is fearful about having another man around for him to talk to, you need to run.
Okay.
And
You need to
Some other things that
I don't know what he be
is
talking about.
constant stress.
I don't know where I have no clue what he talking about.
a-
know what he
constant
talking
stress, your needs being ignored, a lack of self care.
Yeah.
If you get to that place, you're probably
You ain't
know,
washing your
relationship
balls.
Could be
Say what?
You ain't washing your balls. Yeah, that's a big
hoping
sign.
for change. Oh, ladies, we got to do something
Yeah.
with that.
He gonna change when.
And you
Yeah,
just
when. I'm
and
just hoping and
walking
praying.
on eggshells.
Oh, that's
You know that is this the day this Negro gonna cost me everything. You just constantly wondering what is going to happen today.
Right.
you
Or
know.
even if you're afraid to bring up a
Right.
something that bothered you because you're afraid of how their reaction is going to be.
Yeah, and is this gonna cause a
to a
blow
level-
up?
yeah,
Is this
a
gonna
level
cause
of-
her to leave or him to leave
Right.
or whatever the case is?
Should've-
So, and I
Manipulation.
think that when we look around and just see some of the stuff on social media and these reality shows, too many relationships are toxic.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
we being
I agree.
honest.
I agree. I see it all
Let
the
me
time.
point out something else. If the person is selfish, if they're trying to structure the relationship where they are reaping most of the benefits, and you're rarely getting anything out of it, that's a bad that's a bad situation
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
that's definitely
And
toxic.
let me just say this because you have, especially to my women, you have women that will tolerate the abuse as far as like verbal. Like it is not okay for a man, and men, it is not okay for women to call you out of your name. Anything
Correct.
that you're not, it is not okay. Don't sit and get used to that or accustomed to it, saying that, oh, it's not that bad. No, it's bad. It's toxic. And 9 times out of 10, guess what? If he did it the first time, he'll probably do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
I don't
not-
think.
That's not
Well,
Yeah.
I don't. That's not a practice of mine.
It's just
I got a mama
some
and daughters, so I don't see it that way.
straight up things that automatically make your relationship toxic. If
I think
you
that's
being-
severe. If that is like if a person call you out your name, yeah, you got to walk away.
Because
From
you
that.
got some people that will come,
Yeah, you
become
can't do that.
numb to it.
Yeah, you
and
can't
it's
do
like, okay,
Yeah, you
Now,
can't
one
do
thing
that.
I want to point out, and I've seen this with a lot of men, is men, they don't call you out your name. They're not verbally abusive, or they won't put their hands on you. However, what I've seen with a lot of black men is they are mentally and emotionally abusive. And they have this thing that I don't beat women. You don't beat them with your hands,
But your mouth.
but your actions
Yeah, your
are beating
Example.
them down in
We
the
need an
ground,
example.
like cheating. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Cheating does
cheating,
impact a person.
being
yeah.
manipulative, being narcissistic.
I don't believe in
treatment,
narcissism.
silent treatment. There's just a list of just this whole persona. All this playing with women. This player. You got all these women, like all of that. The women that are entangled with that. They are being emotionally and mentally abused. And men like to, pride themselves and say, oh, I'd never hit a woman. I'd never call a woman not their name. But you dragging her up down 285 with these lies and this manipulation and this cheating and your failure to commit, and all of these things. So like as black men, we have to understand that you're doing just as much, if not more damage. Because I'm gonna tell you, like for me, I'd rather you slap me one time than to cheat on me one time.
Wait.
I me myself, I'd rather that. because the damage that cheating does, the emotional and mental damage that it does, like I'm a heal from that slap.
Right,
Tomorrow I won't
right,
feel it, but that cheating could last me for years
It
to come.
sure
Right.
can.
And this is what I want to caution
Sure can.
men. Some of these things, these principles that she's discussing, I want men to take the same heed,
Same
to the
heed.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Like failure to commit.
Yes.
Hold on.
Like, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Hold on.
There's some
The
abusive
problem
women
is-
out here.
Hold on. The problem is there's a plethora of information that warn women about the traps. There is it is barren
For
when
men.
men look for resources as to what we should look for.
Correct.
So we go out there blind and naive, and then we are prone to make the same bad choices
Yeah.
and women make in men. And so we end up on child support because we didn't recognize the warning signs that she was, if she did the last baby daddy like that, she probably gonna do you like that. But
Right.
they'll say the man would never change. You rarely hear the woman ain't gonna
Woman ain't
never
gonna
change.
change.
You don't really hear that.
Yeah.
So I want us just to add a little bit more.
Listen, that's why
equality
you
to
have the
some of these
suffering
warning
signs.
signs
That's-
because men get caught just as much as women do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen,
I agree.
that's why there's a movement now that's called suffering in silence, because men are taught to internalize it,
Exactly.
keep it inside. Oh,
You're
you
weak
old
if you let it out.
Exactly.
old nigga, and this, that, and the other.
crucified
Oh, you a
Tyrese
piece
for
of
showing his
rise with a
public. They
man deals
crucified
with
that
some of
man.
these women out here that mouth is just like you be like.
They
Shut-
lynched Will
So
Smith
so
for showing his
so look, this is just, again, this is my thought. I remember one time I was struggling in life, in just my financial life, and I had a car, man. It was crazy. I bought it from my brother from, and it would, when it rained, it would leak water like right around the sill of the window sill, and it used to piss me off. And one day I got to the door and I was so mad, like a tear dropped out my eye. And my grandma looked at me and she said, "Boy, if you don't pick yourself up, now go out that door, do what you got to do, and get the car fixed or get you a better car." And when I look back at my grandma and I saw that strength in her eyes, like, so that's why I reflect. And when I say that, like when y'all saying, what you say, struggling in silence, like when I make a mistake, I can look in the mirror, identify with that mistake, straighten myself up, understand I need to make a better decision and move forward. That's one of the reasons I rely on me and what I need to do to be a better man.
Okay.
I don't think that relates to what he just said.
That relates to the struggling in silence. You suffering.
no.
I don't know why you gotta suffer when you can look in the mirror, identify with the mistake that you made, and do better. It's a conscious decision.
You know
You
the
have weak
statistics.
moments?
Who, me?
Yeah.
That's when I go to the mirror.
That's
I keep saying that.
Yes, no question. Did you have weak moments?
Yeah,
Yes or
you
no?
go-
I didn't ask you how you deal with
Okay.
it. Did you have
Go to
weak
the
moments?
mirror.
Yes or no?
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
that's why I go to the mirror. I don't go to another group of men and
So-
sit around
so
and
let me ask you a
soak
question.
myself.
You went to grandma.
When it comes to,
I did.
When it comes
She's no
to-
longer here, so now I go to me.
Okay.
God bless
Well,
her. God bless
Tyrese
her.
went to social media because all he wanted was
That was
his
weak.
baby.
That was weak. Social media.
Listen,
He just wanted his baby.
I ain't going on social media.
Okay.
That was weak.
When you're talking about this,
Yeah.
this whole suffering in silence thing, it has a lot to do with domestic violence. You know that, right?
I didn't.
Okay. So the initiators of domestic violence is who? Male or
Women.
female?
Women.
Women, I'm assuming.
Women.
It's women.
And these
What?
men are yes.
Women out here swinging on dudes.
And they cook it. You see what I'm saying? That's why I can't relate to a lot of it. Ain't no woman.
Words that women say.
Okay,
Maybe
okay.
that
Oh, it's the words, not the physical.
Well,
Physical.
what he's saying is, reasonably speaking, when we think about domestic violence, we think that it's more so women being violated, but there are a large number of men, especially since COVID. The numbers have even risen even higher. That there
do
are
your
more
research.
men that are being abused
Go do your
by
research.
women.
That's a problem for
How
me.
you gonna abuse me? I'm a man. You
Listen.
ain't gonna abuse me. I don't wanna hear that.
Abuse.
I don't wanna hear that. Ain't nobody gonna be abusing me.
research.
Listen.
Having personal.
But
Man,
the first thing she gonna do,
well-
the way she uses to abuse you, is the law.
What?
Because the one thing she's gonna do is she's gonna call them police on you, and we're gonna come there and put handcuffs on you.
Okay, so we talk about two different
Well,
things.
but
I'm saying that a woman not gonna physically hit me,
But-
and I'm gonna be afraid and call the law. Right? That's not gonna happen.
Again,
He's saying physically. She's saying
again,
something else.
No, I'm talking.
You saying
about-
physically?
If you, I'm trying to speak.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear that.
Okay. Again, there's not one element of abuse. You have mental, you have emotional, you have financial abuse, you have physical abuse.
Correct.
So you have other means but women are being physically abusive to men.
Oh yeah.
There are other elements of abuse, but they are being physically abusive. There are men that are being beat.
I don't know them. That's ain't no man. That's not no man. That's not no man.
You better listen.
Hold on.
That's not no man.
Hold on.
I hear what
I've
y'all
heard
saying.
it already.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
It happens.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's my problem, because that just shows you the little value they place on the life of a man. Because when this was an epidemic or a rising epidemic amongst women, they had
It was
celebrities,
it was an outpour.
NBA players, NFL players, people in politics. They put it out there. But this is just another example of how our lives don't mean anything.
Well,
And hold on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what's happening now is they have reinstituted a recruitment of black women to help perpetrate that climate, to let us know our life is not as valuable as anybody else's. We're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Deshaun Watson.
And that's
I couldn't agree with
why I every day I'm saying, men, we got to figure this out without them. Because with all due respect, some of them can't even be trusted.
Deshaun Watson.
Realistically,
Deshaun
some of them
Watson.
can't even be trusted.
Listen,
If you look at when a prominent black man is taken down,
it's bad.
even when it's warranted, somewhere in the mix is a black woman.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
Point blank, period. Now I'm not going to, because my point of this, because some brothers do wrong. I get that, but trust me, when they want to bring down a black man, the number one recruit is going to be a black woman.
Tupac
Trust
Shakur.
me. That's why I think we got to do this without
listen.
Mike Tyson.
You talking to
the initial stage.
I like
Come
it,
to the
boy.
choir.
You got me now. I'm a fan today, bro. I'm a fan today.
But when it comes to things like that, men are, like I said, they have to internalize it. So if he's getting abused at home, normally what he's gonna have to do is he's gonna have to suck it up. You ain't gonna take that out there in the public and tell your homeboys at the barbershop you getting your ass beat. Who's gonna do that?
Jesus Christ, man.
That's crazy.
Listen,
I've never heard of that in my life.
go do your research.
I'm
It'll
not-
really
It don't happen.
Thing is not.
I ain't grow up in the neighborhood where that happened. I don't
what's
know
going on
nobody.
out here.
I don't know nothing about that.
Listen. Jesus. Most people that are being abused, even as women, a lot of people don't know. The people that's closer to them
They
don't know.
report.
So
You don't say nothing.
we never heard of it. It didn't happen in my neighborhood. All that,
Well, I know because I know people don't talk about abuse, but I'm just saying it sounds crazy to hear that
Because it's a
that
man.
a man.
But that's
is
why so
straight.
many men are suffering in silence, because people, that it's just the same equivalent to men being raped. Nobody thinks that that's possible, but it happens. So if we on one corner, we
Yep.
can't want
That's
men
right.
to open up and be transparent, and deal with their issues. But then on the other point, we're discrediting their
Now, are they
experiences.
getting raped out in public?
Man, listen, I just don't understand it, man. I just don't understand. You ever been raped by a woman?
I'm just being honest.
You ever been raped by a woman?
I ain't been raped
You ever been
no more.
raped by a woman? Hey, Dad, you ever been raped by a woman?
Listen,
They
I'm not
they
going to
have.
trivialize it.
it happens though.
Yeah, it does.
I
So I want to thank you guys for
What you mean
tuning
you ain't want to say
in.
that? I heard somebody say they ain't want to say nothing.
I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the G Spot.
It's the growth spot, baby.
Well, you got to grow.
Oh, you got to go.
Tune in next week. We will be back on the series Sex, Lies, and Cheating with Why Women Cheat.
Why women cheat?
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.